I'm Hannah Kelly.
And I'm Alexis Marks.
He's just sitting in the back. I'm James Starkey.
And we're at Alden, New York, and we're going to interview you. You already know that, so.
You can start.
Alright, so where and when were you born?
I was born in 1977 in Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York.
Okay. Who are/were your parents, and what are/were their occupations?
My father was a laborer. Basically, worked for a union. He was a pipe insulator. So basically, back in the 60s and 70s, when they thought asbestos was good for buildings, for insulation, stuff like that, he pumped all the asbestos in. And then when they found out asbestos is bad, he took it all out in the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. My mother was just a stay-at-home mom. She raised me and my 3 siblings.
Awesome. Who and were your siblings and their names?
I'm the youngest of 4. I have my oldest sister I think she just turned 50. She is a pharmaceutical rep down in Texas now. She's been bumped around. So there's her name is Esther. My second oldest sister's name is Teresa. She's a lawyer in downtown Buffalo. And then my brother, Tom, who's 7 years older than me, so I'll make him 46. He is a Buffalo police detective.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. That's awesome.
Okay. What were you doing before you entered the service?
Everything. Everything. I went to school. I graduated high school in Orchard Park in '96. Went to school in Florida for 3 years. Played a little baseball. Came home. Really didn't find any type of niche. Just kind of bounced around from job to job at the time, and then I was actually bartending and serving at just local bars and restaurants, and then I just wasn't happy with what I was doing, so I just decided to wake up one morning and go join.
Awesome. What branch of the military
Army.
did you serve? The Army.
Did you enlist or were you drafted?
Enlist. There's no draft anymore.
Why did you choose the Army and the military? Like, what was your decision for that?
To be honest with you, I went down. There's a recruitment office down in the plaza in West Seneca where I live, and basically what it was is I just walked in and he was the first one to come and find me. The first person to come and talk to me that's what I was going to do. So it could have been the Navy guy coming and talk to me first. Could have been the Marine guy. It was just happened to be the Army recruiter. Heard the door and came in. And those guys are like vultures, man.
Yeah.
As soon as they hear the door open, they come running to you. So, and that's pretty much how I chose it.
Okay. What happened when you departed for training camp and during your early days of training?
I remember they make sure that you show up. That's basically what it came down to. Is I knew I signed my paperwork to join in late December. It was after Christmas and right before New Year's. And I wasn't leaving until March 9th. So I had a couple months to get a little more physically ready, mentally ready, tell my friends, tell my family. So yeah, I was just basically just mentally prepare yourself for leaving, because you leave, they come and pick you up, and they take you to a hotel the night before, so you don't basically conk out on them and say I'm not showing up. They bus you from the hotel to the airport, and they fly you from the airport down to Atlanta. Everyone meets in Atlanta. Well, for me, for the Army, for my MOS, for my job, I went to infantry. So that infantry school is down in Fort Benning. So they send you down to Atlanta.
Awesome. Do you recall your instructors, and if so, what were they like?
Yes, I do. I mean, they say it's not like the movies, but sometimes it is like the movies. Basically, they bus you from the airport to like Fort Benning is like a 45-minute or hour ride, and then the bus pulls up, and then there's like 4 or 5 just drill sergeants just staring at you like outside the door, and you get off the bus, and if you're not moving, like we call it moving with a purpose. If you're not moving with a purpose, they make you move with a purpose. They get in your ear. They move. For like the first 2 weeks, it's all just processing, just paperwork, making sure you didn't bring anything in on you. You know, people are stupid. You know, you're not supposed to bring like any weapons, knives, anything like that. People did. Drugs. People did. You know, they want to get. You know, I've never done drugs, so it's not like something I did, but people did. They did. You know, and they call it like an amnesty period. They give it to you right then and there, and the instructors are very clear about that. Like, this is your one point right now to tell us if you have anything that you don't need, that you should not have on you, to drop it in this, and you go in this like little room, and there's a little bucket, and you drop it. So therefore, I don't know what you dropped in the bucket, I don't know what you dropped in the bucket, I don't know what I dropped, you know, and then that's it. And then they search you again when they get back to you, when they get to barracks and you have anything on you, then you have to deal with the consequences then. So yeah, the instructors, you have a number of instructors throughout the whole time until you get to your actual platoon, which is called Shark Week. They keep you in this area for like 2 weeks. They don't let you do any PT. They do it's all processing. You get your haircut and stuff like that. And then they get you on a bus and they pull the shades down so you don't know where you're going. And they bring us to this place that's called Sand Hill. That's where it is in Fort Benning, and that's where it really begins. And you meet who you're supposed to. You meet pretty much your drill sergeant and their instructors for the whole 9 weeks to 13 weeks you're going to be there, and they're very intimidating.
Did those people that you met and that you were going to have for a while have a huge impact on you getting through basic?
A couple of them did.
A couple of them?
I joined when I was late. I joined. I was 29 years old. That's very, very late for someone to be joining the military. So I was in a platoon with 19, 20, 21-year-olds who were very affected by someone being in their face. You know, I've always played some sort of sport. I grew up in a strict household where, you know, if you weren't home for dinner at 5 o'clock, you didn't eat until 5:30 until everyone else was done. So I've had people in my face ever since I was a little kid. So it didn't really affect me. But as far as having an impact on me, yeah, they did, because, you know, they treated me like other people, just like everybody else. Where I didn't, not that I wanted special treatment because I was older, I didn't. I wanted to just go with the flow. So yeah, a couple of them, you know, had a very strong impact on me.
Did you receive any specialized training? If so, what?
The infantry school is basically generalized for everybody that goes down there. You do the same thing with everybody for the 13 weeks that you're there. You go to the range, you shoot. You know, so I mean, yes, we all learned how to shoot. We all learned hand-to-hand combats. There were different blocks. Like 1 week we do this, next week we do this, and then at the end of it, you put it all together, and it's called like a field training exercise, FTX, where basically they put you out in the forest or whatever you want to call it, the Georgia swamplands for like a week or 2 weeks, and you just put everything together. Your specialized training comes after that, whether it be airborne school, ranger school. I was shipped up to Fort Wainwright, Alaska, so I had to do specialized cold weather training because, you know, how cold it gets in Alaska. So there was a lot of specialized training that we did learn, but it was after my initial training at basic training.
Awesome. How did you adapt to military life, including the physical regimen, barracks, food, and social life?
Like I said, outside of basic training was just the same thing every day. You wake up at reveille, you know, you do PT. The physical part of it wasn't really an issue for me. You know, I was worried, you know, I have to hang in there with these 19, 20-year-old kids, you know, being 10 years older than them, but I did very well at that point. The social aspect of it, like, I had dated my wife, who was now my wife, on and off before I left, on and off, and then she ended up, to backtrack, she ended up sending me a message like Happy New Year on that New Year's in 2009, 2010, where I joined. She's like, Happy New Year, you know, you want to get together again, go out for dinner? I'm like, yep, sure, you know, whatever. So just figured it would just, nothing would happen again, because we always just hang out and then, you know, we just go our separate ways. So this time I actually said to her, hey, listen, you know, I joined the military, you know, we're probably not going to be together again.
Yeah.
And she stayed with me the whole time I was in basic training. So then when I got out of basic training, I told her, hey, listen, you know, I'm going to Fort Wainwright, Alaska now.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, I don't care. She's like, well, make it work. We made it work. We got married, and it was the best decision we ever made. But so the social aspect of it was hard because I was up and away. You know, I spent pretty much, you know, the whole 13 weeks away from her, except for like 3 days that they gave us when she flew down. I was home for 10 days where we got married, and then I went off to Alaska. And she was a teacher here in Western New York, so I wasn't going to let her leave her job. So I was married, and then I was up in Alaska without her. The barracks, I didn't have barracks. Well, I did for like the first 2 weeks I was there. Very interesting, but it reminded me of college.
Yeah.
I was in school in Florida, like I told you, and it was a barracks room. It's a college dorm room. It had a little kitchen area, a bathroom, and then your room. And then you had a roommate that had his room off to the side. So it wasn't anything that I was not accustomed to. The food's horrible, but it's government food. But in basic training, it's really bad. You eat what's called these MREs. They're called meals ready to eat, MREs. And basically, what it is it's food in a box or in a package that you heat up just with just water in a heating pack. It's hydrated food. Like it's pretty much like what astronauts do up in space. It's horrible food. But you if you eat something so many times, you become accustomed to it. So it's like I said, I'm not trying to sound like I was far ahead of people because I was older, but I adapted easier because I used to use this example. I didn't come from a silver spoon like some of these kids did. They come right from like privileged families, neighborhoods where they're not used to having someone yell at them, or they're not used to having someone tell them when to eat, where to go, how to stand, stuff like that. And some people had a hard time dealing with that.
Yeah.
And I didn't because I knew what I was there to do.
Okay. If you served, where did you serve?
Like, what do you mean where?
Like wartime service. Like,
wartime,
did you serve in the war?
Afghanistan. Yes, I was 2011 to 2012. Our unit from Alaska was the last unit to do a full year deployment. Now they're only 9-month deployments. There's a lot of speculation as to why. My belief is that a lot of guys just over that 9-10 month mark, being away from home for so long, there's a lot of suicides in the military, so they shorten the deployment down. They like to say it was because of the numbers. It's really not because of the numbers. But no, I served 2011, 2012 in Afghanistan, in Kandahar. It was funny when Mr. Buchek, I think his name was, showed that picture of Tim Hortons. That's right where I was, right in Kandahar. So I knew exactly where he was talking about with that place. And actually, me and 26 other guys spent 31 extra days in country with no extra pay, no nothing. They had a shortage of a unit that was coming to, they call rip us out. They were supposed to come over and take over our unit, take over our area, take over our patrols, and they were short by like 20 or 30 guys. So our captain asked us, they got us all together, and they asked for volunteers to stay. So me and, like I said, 24, 25, 26 other guys stayed. And we had to sign a letter that was written, it was stamped by the president. It wasn't really written by him, but stating that, thank you for your service, but you're not getting any extra money for this.
Were you getting paid just regular pay?
Yeah. We weren't there for free. I mean, I wouldn't have done that. We still got our extra salary.
But it wasn't like...
Because the reason why they made us sign this paper was because in earlier times, not just earlier times, like years prior to that, the Iraq conflict and like that, if you stayed past a year for a certain amount of time, from what I believe, you got paid. You got $1,000 an extra month or something like that. You got extra wartime, like combat pay. But I don't know the specifics on that, but we didn't get anything.
Yeah. What are some memories that you have, like you were saying, when you stayed a little longer? Like, do you have any really strong memories that come
I have
to
a
mind?
lot of strong memories, good and bad. Obviously the bad ones outweigh the good ones, and I hate to say that because we were an infantry unit. I'm very proud of that. I'm very cocky about that. I'm very like I don't hold that. I don't hide that at all.
Yeah.
Like I don't throw it in the face of someone else that's non-infantry, but I will be the first to speak up when they start. Because there's a division. There's a division between the branches. There is. And it's it's like talking like the New England Patriots to the Buffalo Bills. You know what I mean? There's a division there. I mean and we talk about it, and being an infantry unit, we were in the front line. We were, excuse my language, in the shit. That's basically what we did. And like we see other people talk about, how they were basically sitting on a base all 10, 11 months, and my what I say to them is they did the same thing I did. They left their family, they left their loved ones, but there's an extra amount of things that the infantry did. And all the bad memories do come about because of what we went through. Good memories, I mean, yeah, there's definitely some. I mean, the camaraderie that you build with people. I'm still, to this day, very, very close friends with 3 or 4 of my guys from my platoon. So much so, he lives in California. I was the best man in his wedding 4 months ago. Or we just send each other stupid texts at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Or like I'll find out him and his wife are out to dinner in a restaurant in Alaska. I'll call the restaurant and buy their dinner for them. That stuff we still do. But then, like I said, there's some bad times. Like there's an anniversary coming up on Sunday. My sergeant who was killed, and that's something we get together. Whether it's FaceTime or on the phone for and just talk. I was injured in combat, and that was very hard to make that phone call home to my wife and say, "Hey, listen, I won't be able to talk for a couple weeks, or this, I have to go, I have to go here and get work done, or my ankle worked on. I'm okay, which is the best part about it. But as far as some of the memories, like I said, I mean, I adopted my son when I was in Afghanistan. Because I was supposed to do it when I came home on my mentor leave, but the court schedule didn't work out, so I did it via Skype. So that's kind of a cool memory that I got to, there's a picture of like the judge, my wife, my son, and then they're holding like, an iPad or a computer, a laptop with my picture on it, just sitting there like this from Afghanistan. So that was pretty neat. But memories are what you make of it, though. I mean, there's people that are miserable over there, that are miserable, and, but my whole thing is you signed up to do a job, go do it, and some of the jobs we did sucked. They were absolutely horrible, but they needed to get done. So that's the memories that you make of them.
What combat action did you witness?
A lot. I mean, it's when we go out on patrols, we would go out on patrols, and every day you didn't know if that was going to be the day something happened.
Yeah.
So we go out, we all had our little routines that we did, and I'm not real religious, but I was when I was over there, just because, it doesn't hurt to have someone looking over you. Well, we saw a lot. I remember the first time we were going on patrol, and we got a call that there was an IED, which is improvised explosive device, a bomb.
Yeah.
And we had lost some people, and so we had to go and retrieve the vehicle and retrieve the body and stuff like that. And I remember looking at the vehicle, and it was just like, I don't know how anybody could survive this. So it was very, very hard, and that to see that. So then we got some intel that we found out who did it, or the area they were in. So we went out and we patrolled that one night, and we just stayed there for, it had to be almost 19, 20, 22 hours. And I remember seeing something on the screen, because the truck that I had like a video screen kind of like this, and like infrared and stuff like that, where I would scan. It had a camera on top of the truck, and I would scan, just looking for people that weren't supposed to be out there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I see a figure throw something into a hole that was in the ground, and so we called it up, and all right, so we went and chased him down, and we got him. But it ended up being like a 13-year-old kid, and he had like 6 cell phones on him, and all the cell phones had like different coordinates to different bombs that were somewhere along the roads in there. 13-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid, or something like that. So that was like the first instance that I had any type of combat experience. The next one was when I was actually in the command post, the talk they call it, and I was doing just the radio guard and stuff like that, just because one of our infantry units, one of our platoons was out on a foot patrol, and all of a sudden panic just came over the radio. We heard an explosion, and one of our guys had stepped on an IED and blew both of his legs off. I wasn't there for that, but I was on the radio. I was the one that they retrieved information to give to me so I could send it up to our command, and so they can get the helicopter there to get him out and save his life. So that was kind of hard, dealing with all the panic and the screaming and the wondering who it was, because they don't put names over stuff like that. They give you like your initials and like the last 4 of your social. Because I remember going to like the Alpha roster trying to find out who it was. There's that. Then our base was hit with they call it a VBID, a vehicle IED. Basically, there was a guy in his car sacrificing his life, just driving his vehicle right into our watchtower. So that was another that happened. And then there's this. I never take this off. This is something I always wear. This is my sergeant that was killed. We were on patrol. We were actually going to another memorial for another soldier from another company who was killed, and we were hit by an IED. And I remember like it was yesterday. He was standing next to me, and he was in the truck commander spot, and I was in the vehicle commander spot, and we were supposed to wear these harnesses because of the new safety regulations or whatever they are. And he was old school. He was retiring a couple months later. This is like 3rd or 4th tour. He's done. They call it the new army. He was soft. He wasn't a soft man. He was basically in your kind of face kind of guy. And he was getting out, and he never wore that harness. He's like, F this. I'm not wearing this crap, And the bomb hit us, and the harness it wasn't engaged on him. So he got basically catapulted out of the truck, and the blast killed him. Whereas me, I had my harness on, but my hatch was open as well. It shot me up, and then the harness, which is connected to the floor, brought me right back down. And that's obviously when I broke my ankle. So that anniversary is in 2 days. So that's still kind of like hard to deal with. That was a rough one because he was a signature. He was a key figure in the company. Everyone knew who Sergeant Glass McCain was. Everybody knew, some of his sayings. Everybody knew, what he was all about. So kind of dealing with him, losing him was very, very, very hard. It's been, we're 2016 now, so it's 5 years. And I finally started dealing with, I'm sure this might be in one of your next questions or down the road, but dealing with this, where it comes to where I can verbalize it. I didn't know if these questions were going to come about, but like if this was 2 or 3 years ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation, because it would just be, I saw what I saw, and stuff like that. Not that I would be disgruntled, but I just can't open up about it. Whereas now I have been, because I go and I talk to people and stuff like that. But anniversaries are real rough with the combat experience.
What kind of friendships and camaraderie did you form?
Camaraderie.
Camaraderie. Yeah.
Sorry. Simple words, lifelong. I was like the father figure of my group. I had an apartment off base, so my place was the place to hang out at. I cooked dinners for all these guys. 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old kids, that Mom did everything for him, you know. So I cooked dinners for him. My wife flew up for Thanksgiving in 2010. We cooked Thanksgiving dinner for like 25 guys in our company. So I got the adoration of all the mothers and the companies like that. They loved me for doing that because it was everybody from around the whole country. You know, my best friends are a guy from Boston, Massachusetts, two guys from Boston, Massachusetts, one guy from Texas, one guy from Sacramento, California. You know, one guy from Kansas City, one guy from Cincinnati, and we talk like there's no tomorrow. So much so forth that I got out in 2013, March 10, 2013. I found out that my one buddy who we had a connection, was going to be on the East Coast for something in 2014, and I drove to like Rhode Island, Pawtucket, Rhode Island, just to surprise him at a bar for 15 minutes. I drove 8.5 hours, 9 hours just for 15 minutes. Got in my car and drove away, you know, just because that's what you do. Like they really believe like no one's left behind, and that's kind of like how it is. And then that's the same gentleman that, like I said, he got married this past May in California, and I was his best man, which I never would have expected. So, like I touched base on you before about the camaraderie and the friendships. They're lifelong. They're unmatched by anything that I believe, from childhood or not. Like, I'm not putting anything against your childhood friendships, from kindergarten, but someone made a point to me earlier, like if you can remember even people from high school, or not high school, middle school, because elementary schools, because a couple of elementary schools, and you all go to middle school together, and then if you're still friends with the people that you were in elementary school, that's kind of good. But I bet you guys can probably think of friends that you guys had when you were in elementary school that you're not friends with now.
Okay.
Same as kids from around the block, from growing up in the street. A kid who I thought was gonna be my best friend for my life, I haven't talked to since we graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
But yet I meet these guys and I spend just over a year with them, and you'd do anything for these guys.
Yeah. How did you stay in touch with family and friends back home?
Glorious technology. It's a wonderful thing. We had little like huts. Basically, they were mud huts. They're built of mud and clay and stuff like that. And they hooked up the internet, computers, and then Skype and stuff like that. So you bought like a webcam if you had, and a good one, so you could see it.
Yeah.
You had to coordinate though, because obviously the time difference was 12, 13 hours. It sucked because, like I said, my wife was a teacher, so I could only talk to her sometimes a day, and then I would be out on missions and stuff like that. So there'd be times where I would wake up at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning just so she would get up at 4:30 in the afternoon so I could talk to her. And I even did that in Alaska too, the phones, it's just, technology today is tenfolds. I mean, I couldn't even imagine, basic training was different. Basic training, they took our phones, now they get phones. That's why we think they're a little soft now, but no phones, no nothing. So it's all letters. I still have every letter me and my wife sent to each other. But as far as like when you get deployed and stuff like that, the technology is just amazing. And there's a lot of donations and funding for that. So that it helps us out.
Awesome. What did you do for recreation or when you were off duty? Like, what would you do for fun?
Infantry is never off duty. When we're deployed, are you talking about when I'm deployed or just in my unit in Alaska?
Both. So when you were in your unit in Alaska.
Oh, we couldn't wait to get off. We were there at 5:15 in the morning. We did PT outside up to like -30. If it was -30 degrees outside, we had to do PT inside. And then, we'd get released and we'd come back to the company and we'd do our training, because we knew when we first got there, we knew we were getting deployed in the following April. So we did a lot of combat training. We went out to the range. We kept proficient in our shooting. And then we deployed. And so when we were deployed, we never really had a break. We would go out on deployment missions, come back, we would have downtime for 4 or 5 hours and go right back out. If we knew nothing was coming up, we did that. We played football, we played cards, most of us, though, like I said, we took that time. We got right into MWR and we called our own families and we kept in touch. I actually went to school. I took
Oh, really?
college education. I took college classes, finished up my degree when I was over in Afghanistan.
Wow.
Yeah, so our downtime really didn't have a lot of downtime, but when we did, some of us slept. I mean, because our missions were, 12, 13, 14, 15 hours at a time, and you had to be on point. Like 12, 13 hours now, it doesn't sound like much, because you can focus on other things, you can do other things. When you're there, you gotta be, basically they call it a head on a swivel. You gotta be awake, you gotta be cognizant of your surroundings. So.
Okay. Where were you when the war ended?
Did it end?
Yeah, the war,
Yeah.
that's what I was going to say. The war hasn't ended.
No, it hasn't ended yet. I'm sure that question is a little more geared towards the World War II guys and the Vietnam and stuff like that. It's not. I mean, they're supposed to be pulling troops out of there left and right, and they haven't done it yet. I still have buddies that are redeploying, as we speak. So no, it hasn't really ended. But I got shipped right back to Alaska, and days went on.
How did you return home? Like, whenever you had time, like you said, you had like 3 days, and then you had like the week. Like, how'd you get home so quick and
What do you mean?
to see your wife? Like, when you got married?
Oh, well, after basic training, they send you home before you report to your duty station. So basically, it's just a little downgress time. So the army takes care of you. Or the military takes care. They flew you home, and then you got to report to your duty station within a certain number of days, or else you're considered AWOL. So we spent some time. We got married, and then a couple days after, I shipped out to Alaska. Did my time up there. I came home when they give us like blocks of leave, they call it, like Christmas block leave, stuff like that. Pre-deployment leave. They knew we were leaving in April, so like sometime in February and March, they let us come home for like 2 weeks. And then, like I told you, we were the last unit to do a full year term, full year deployment. So we were the last unit to get what's called R&R, 2 week blocking time during your deployment, where you get to come home, rest and relaxation they call it, but you don't rest or relax when you come home. You're doing something. You're always doing something. That was, and that's a process in itself, because you fly. I mean, you don't just fly from like Afghanistan to Buffalo, New York. You fly from Afghanistan to a place called Kazakhstan. Then you fly from there to Ireland, from there Ireland to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta to Buffalo. So it's like a 4 or 5 day process.
Okay. How did you readjust to civilian life, like when you were home, like for good?
It was hard. People like her and her family made it easy for me, though. It was very hard, actually. It was my wife. My wife took care of everything while I was gone, and coming home to that, I wanted to be. I'm still transitioning. I'm, early's on time is late kind of guy, and like if you have to think about that saying, you know what I mean? And that's a military saying. Early is on time is late. Meaning, if my wife had a doctor's appointment at 1 o'clock, she would show up at 12:59, and literally I would be sweating. Like, I would get so mad, I would start to sweat. So like 15 minutes early, 20 minutes early is good for me. Large crowds is a very, very rough thing. Restaurants, I still sit, like, I will wait for a table in the corner of the restaurant so I can see the whole restaurant. Large crowds still bother me. I've been a little bit more receptive to people's opinions about things. When I first got out, I was like, nope, you're wrong. Pretty much what it came down to. This is, the more and more I sat and thought about it, do I agree with everything that was going on over there? No. But when it come down to it, it was either I'm going to get killed or this guy's going to get killed or my buddy's going to get killed. So I'm going to take the better end of that deal. like I said, do I agree with everything? No, because I thought about it more and more. It's like, how would you like it if I came into your house today and said, all your beliefs, all your rules, all your customs are getting thrown out the window right now. You're now going to do things my way. And that's basically what we were doing over there.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking for like 20, 30 years. I mean, how long is Afghanistan and Iraq, how long have they been around? Hundreds of years, thousands of years. And that's their belief, that's their customs. You know what I mean? And for us to go over there and try to change it for whatever reasons, it's just, to me, it's not, I'm not there. I'm not with it anymore.
With the traumatic experience with your sergeant, how that happened, how have you handled that since you're back?
I haven't.
You haven't?
Nope. It comes and it goes, and you just deal with it. I don't have the availability or the accessibility to go visit his stone up in Fort Wainwright or in Arlington or in Arizona where he's from. So that's kind of hard. So I have to rely on pictures and stuff like that from my buddies that are still around there. I haven't accepted it. I won't accept it. So that's kind of where I just kind of leave that at that.
Yeah. Do you go to any counseling to help you with
Yes.
things that have happened?
Yes. I go to the Buffalo Vet Center. I go to the VA Medical Center. I've never been one to let my guard down and be like, all right, listen, I'm okay, I'll be all right. And it was taking a toll on my wife, on my family, and on me. So I finally broke down. I don't say broke down. I finally realized I needed help, so I went and talked. So yeah, I do. I mean, I'm still not there yet.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's only been 3 years.
Yeah.
So since I got out, it's only been 5 years since my combat experience. So who knows? Who knows if I ever will be? Who knows if I will be? But until that day comes.
How were you received by your family and community? So when you got home?
Quietly, and that's the way I wanted it. I'm not a big hoorah ta-da kind of guy.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't need that. It was very quiet. I think my brother, my sister, my son, my wife, my dad, and my mom. My mom was in the hospital, so she couldn't be there. At the time, they picked me up from the airport. We went and got pizza and wings and went home.
Yeah.
It's basically all I wanted.
Yeah.
My wife, to this day, we have season tickets to the Bandits game, and we go to a bunch of Sabres game, and she keeps trying to put my name into that, thank a veteran kind of thing where they stand you up and 40,000 people clap for you or whatever. I want nothing to do with that. I'd rather give that to someone who, I don't want to say likes the attention, but who did more. I mean, I was in for 3 years. I'd rather have a 20-year-old veteran get the service recognition. But the community, a lot of people didn't know I left.
Really?
Yeah, because it was real quiet. It was just, one day I was bartending, and the next day I was getting my butt kicked down in Fort Benning.
Yeah.
Basically, what it came down to.
No, just a quick question.
Oh, you do talk.
There. Yeah. That jacket there, you said, when they do the things, the veteran things at games, I know that at the Bills games they do a salute to service thing. Did somebody buy you that jacket?
Yeah, my wife. I actually sell these at Dick's.
Yeah,
my wife actually. We bought my father one, a hoodie sweatshirt. I'm thinking, I like that. So I'm like, all right. So then she actually went to Dick's out in Niagara Falls Boulevard because they were all sold out because they only came out 2 years ago, and I like it. I don't wear it just because I'm a veteran. I like the team and stuff like that. I really didn't have anything to wear today that was military because I got rid of everything. I got we had company T-shirts that I really didn't want to wear. Stuff like I think I'm wearing my dad's Afghanistan T-shirt that I got him. But yeah, so that my wife bought this for me, so I kind of feel obligated to wear it.
Yeah. Okay. Are you a member of any veterans organizations?
American Legion, I was a member. Well, I should say was a member of the VFW, but they're open now because they're open to the public, so
Yeah.
they see you go. But I am a member of the American Legion in West Seneca. But how do I put this? I'm not as active. I'm not active at all, actually. I'm not how I should be, and it's hard for someone like me because it's a different experience now. Like, there's not a lot of young members. It's all still the Vietnam and World War II members that go there, and it's just hard to get involved with something like that. Like, I mean, even out there today, I don't really. I knew I had to talk to you guys about it, but even like after the reception, but I sat by myself. I didn't say one word to anybody. But that's just the way I am. So it's hard for me to be active and involved in any type of organizations when I'm still not comfortable with everything.
Yeah. What have you done since separating from the military, like your job, your career?
Well, like I stated before, so I have a little more regimented job. When I first got out, I went back to one of the jobs I had before I joined, which I was some office job down in downtown Buffalo. But I had put paperwork in. I'd taken the test for the New York State Department of Corrections to be a corrections officer, and so when I got back, I started that process. Up. We're good. Started that again, and I got that job within like 6 months, 7 months of coming home. So
Awesome.
I've been a CO since 2013, and when I found out like the state jails, I mean, it's a horrible job. I mean, you go to jail every day. I mean, it sucks. But New York State has a jail. I actually have 3 of them, but they have it's called the Shock Program. This one's out in Geneva, where I work at, where basically it's military. It's for whatever. It's supposed to be for nonviolent felony drug and alcohol offenders. Basically, if you commit a felony under the influence of alcohol or drugs, you come to me, and it's a 97-day shock program where I basically militarize you. Wake you up. I do PT. I wake you up regularly. I do PT with you. I march you. If you're not in agreement with my rules, I can make you do things to see my way of it. So it's completely military, idealistic military, and it's right back in my alley. And that's, I mean, everything for me, not my personality, but like it's the overall happiness changed when I got that job, because now I'm back into my safe zone. I'm not. So I've been CO for there for 3 years now.
So you feel more comfortable doing that rather than
Love it. I would.
The office.
I'm not an office guy. I'm not an office guy.
Yeah. Okay. What are some life lessons you've learned from the military?
Patience. I mean, I would say lessons or traits. I mean, lessons meaning you gotta be able to trust yourself, basically. I had a lot of doubters going in, especially being as old as I was when I joined. So I had something to prove. There's different people from all walks of life, and you never know who you're going to run into. You never know you're not going to go along with everybody. All right, you can't. Yeah, but you have to coincide with everybody. All right, and that's a big thing. Like, I don't have to like you, but I have to at least respect you're a human being.
Yeah.
Same thing with the military. When you get into your platoon and just basic training alone, you'd be lucky to find someone from your hometown. If there's 40 people from 40 different hometowns, 40, maybe 4 different races, stuff like that, and coming from Orchard Park, New York, I mean, we don't really have a lot of, Asian culture, African American culture there, so it was kind of eye-opening to me to deal with it. So lessons like, just respect for other people, respect for other people's opinions, views, stuff like that.
How has your military service impacted your feelings about war in the military in general?
Sucks. I'm disgusted by it now. I love the duty, the honor, the love for the country. That's not changed. I'm not mad at my country. I'm not mad at what we're doing. I'm mad at the length of what it's come to. I'm mad at the way they pay. It's not so much they can be paid like rock stars or athletes, but I mean, just they make it very hard to earn a living. If you were to be in the military for a career, I don't like that. Yes, we are the greatest superpower in the world, but there's just some things that we could just let go. Just focus on stuff here, on our homeland first before we, dip our hands in the stuff overseas. But as far as my country, stuff like that, I'm very, very happy to be American. I mean, obviously, if I wasn't, then I wouldn't be. I wouldn't have done what I've done. But I'm just a little. I don't want to say disgruntled because that's a bad word to use, but aggravated is probably a better choice of words.
What message would you like to leave with future generations who will hear this interview?
Don't take it for granted. Like Mr. Bujic said, just saying thank you to a vet. That's enough. Stuff like that. And I always say thank you back because I don't know what to say. Thank you. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Just turn around on them and just make them feel awkward. But it's hard because I just day and age people today and kids today, and I'm not talking like you guys and Chance, but everyone just feels they're so entitled to something, and you're not unless you go out and you work for it. I mean, and since joining, and I feel like everything I get now that I've earned because I came within a moment's notice of death. I've seen people die. I've seen friends die. I've seen other loved ones die. I've had my mother pass away in the whole time I was in the military, so I missed her last couple of years of her life because I was doing what I was doing. So I just wish people wouldn't feel so damn entitled that they owe them something. Just go out. If they want to join, go join. If that's what they believe in, God bless it. I would have never thought of joining out of high school. I never would have thought. And I see 5 kids from your school doing it. I mean, that blew my mind.
I'm one of them.
Blew my mind.
Yeah.
And I can only hope for the best for it. But the way I see the direction of the people, that the way this country's going, because people feel like they need safe zones because someone said some bad words to them. You know what I mean? It's what are you getting? What is that going to teach down the road when someone says no to them or when they don't get the job they want? I mean, not to get off subject here, but just with the election 2 days ago, there's schools at Yale and Harvard and Princeton, Ivy League schools that canceled midterms because some of the students were so distraught over Trump being elected.
Yeah.
What is that? What is that telling? What is that telling the future of people? It's okay. You know what? We're gonna coddle you when you don't get what you deserve or get what you want. You need to get what you deserve. That's what it comes down to. So that's pretty much my advice.
Is there anything that you feel like we haven't discussed or should be added to this interview overall?
Treatment of veterans, and I'm not saying by the public. I'm just saying for government assistance and stuff like that. I think it's a lot of veterans. It's gonna come pretty much across how I say this, but you see a veteran, a homeless veteran on the side of the road. Well, how did they get there? What did they do to themselves to do that? And a lot of them put themselves in that situation. They came back and they drank and they did drugs or they committed crimes to do this stuff. But then there's also a lot of them out there that didn't do anything. That they didn't get the services that they needed, especially the Vietnam guys. They didn't get the services they needed, and the government pretty much gave up on them, and that's why they're out on their own. So yeah, if, as far as interviews goes, I guess this is more centralized towards me. So I mean,
Yeah.
but how I see the public perception of veterans and how I see the government's perception of veterans is it's on two different scales.
Do you think they'll ever like become one?
Depends who. And we'll see with this guy being president.
Yeah.
I mean, he is. I mean, if he doesn't, then it'll be what the next guy says. I don't really believe it until you go back into the days, or you look back in early presidents. We had generals that were presidents. We had army leaders. We had marine leaders that were presidents. We haven't had that. And so I don't believe it until we get a true commander in chief. That there'll be any type of any type of resolve for any of us.
Like as like a personal question, would you ever like truly recommend like your son has he ever?
No, my son's 14, so he's still too young to recognize it. I would never deter anyone, or I would never push anyone towards it.
Yeah.
I can talk. I can hold a conversation very well. And I remember one of my guys said if I stay in, I could be a recruiter. I would never want to do that because I wouldn't feel comfortable looking a father or a mother in the eye and tell them, hey, listen, we're going to take care of your son, whatever. Because the truth of the matter is, you talk to that recruiter when they sign you.
Yeah.
That's the last time you're going to see that recruiter. So they really don't have very much hold on what you do in your Army or your Navy or your military or Marine career. But I would, if that's a choice you made to go and do it, God bless it, and run with it and make the most of it, because there is so much opportunity out there for people that take that career path. I mean, and I'm not just talking I'm talking right out of it. So I mean, you gotta be 17 right now?
I'm turning 17.
Turning 17.
Yeah.
So let's just say, all right, so you're joining, and you do 20 years. You're 37 by the time, if you decide to retire, all right? Maybe 42 if you do 25. Some people, I'm 39, and I just started my career at 36. So
Yeah.
do the math. Like, you could have a whole other career. I'm not talking financial. I'm talking just personal gain, personal respect for yourself. You can get out of the service at 37, 38 years old and start a whole other career.
Yeah.
So I would never deter anybody. If my son wanted to do it, I don't know. That's a little more personal, I guess.
Yeah.
He hasn't portrayed anything like that, so I don't think I'll come down that road.
Yeah.
He still, wants to do the whole veterinary or doctor thing or something like that. But if he did, if he was 100% committed to it, then go.
Yeah.
Do what you gotta do. It's your right. It's your complete and utter right to go and serve your country. I don't believe in the draft. I think that's, I've heard rumors that they were going to reenact the draft if anything happened again. I think that's wrong, because you're forcing people that against their will to do stuff that they may not believe in. I would want a team of 10 people that want to go do something that believe in it, than a team of 5 people that got forced and 5 people that want to do it. Because you got 5 people that don't believe in it and not going to put their best foot forward.
That's it.
Yeah. And I believe we just have like